Backstage here with Brent Smith from Shinedown. You're just saying that the dress code's fancy on stage. What do you mean? You guys gonna dress up like the Beatles or something, or?
No, we're gonna dress up like Shinedown.
Oh, okay.
Now we just earlier this year we were doing we kind of went very kind of, I don't want to say military, but we had a little bit more of kind of GI Joe type mentality with the exclamation points and things like that. It was a little bit more Mad Max.
Yeah, for the attention, yeah.
Yeah. And so for this tour that we've been doing, we still have some of those military elements, but we're in suits and ties because it's classy.
Makes perfect sense. Hey, I was just asking Howard over here. You've been at Atlantic so long. Do you have your own office, your own? No.
I think I think my presence is in every single floor. You know what I mean? Because our pictures are on every single floor.
It could be worse, in grunge shit. I was talking to someone like, I don't know who I was talking to, like Slaughter or somebody. And they, yeah, one day they're in there and their picture's on the wall. Next day they walk in there and it's now Nirvana and stuff, right?
Yeah, that happens. That can happen. You need to make sure you're not phoning records in.
That's right, exactly.
No, man, it's crazy, too, in a really, really beautiful way. I'm not desensitized to the fact that we've been on Atlantic Records for 18 years. The interesting thing is that in 2017, I got an email. Well, I got a phone call from her first, but Julie Greenwald, she sent me a text message and said, check your email. And we were just in the middle of the mixing phase for what became Attention, Attention. It's the 6th album from the original contract, and it was a 6-album deal.
Yeah.
And the email was basically all of Atlantic, Julie and Craig Cowman, and just everybody asking us to sign an extension for 2 more albums.
Nice.
And I remember looking at that, and of course we said yes. It's just not something very common in this day and age for a record label to give an artist from day one, literally from day one. They've never rushed me. They've never told me when to turn something in. They've always given me every single tool I ever needed. Myself, Zach, Barry, and Eric, and even, on the first 2 albums, going all the way back to, the band with the 2, original members from Leave a Whisper and Us and Them, Jason Todd and Brad Stewart. Atlantic Records is 1,000% the greatest record label on the face of the earth.
Man, you don't hear that very often from guys, so there you go.
The most
Points.
The most incredible men and women. That company is they're just remarkable, man.
Now you mentioned, now you signed another 2-record deal.
Yep.
So, I know that you guys don't really have anything going on as far as new music yet.
Oh no.
You do. Okay, because I always got
stuff
else
going.
Well,
we always got stuff.
I was gonna say, because do you sit at home on a piano or guitar and just like kind of put melodies together, and are you constantly doing that kind of stuff or what?
I'm not necessarily that particular one in the band. I still do have what I call my 2 engines, is what I call it. Neither one of my engines are ever turned off, but I'll put one on standby and then I'll turn the other one on full tilt boogie.
Okay.
So that's basically studio and performance. So when we're touring, that's more performance, and we're out and we're promoting and we're traveling. That's more the performance side. The studio side, I very rarely will, like for the longest time, while we were in a studio, we didn't add shows. Like we wouldn't play shows for that year.
No one-offs or nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
0. And then back in 2017, the interesting thing that happened was at the beginning of that year when we started the writing process for the album, we got an opportunity to go to Europe and the UK, and we did 44 dates with Iron Maiden. So that's just something you don't ignore, and you just go and do it. And what happened was it was so awesome because it actually gave us such a better perspective on the album because you weren't in a studio like 24/7. We were able to kind of leave, get a little bit of a perspective, come back, and you're kind of infused with new energy and more creativity. But when it comes to the writing process, there does need to be a moment where like I know I have a bit of structure in there because it's, for me, I have to stay focused on what I'm doing. But I think even when we go into the writing process for the next record, we'll still, we'll do some touring in between it. Now, I think it's good for perspective.
Right. Has that writing process, started at all?
Some.
Okay.
Yeah, some. There's a ton of stuff going on. It's interesting, man, because we're booked all the way through December 21st of this year.
Yeah.
We finished at the O2 Arena in London.
Wow.
We're already, and we've been friends for a long, long time. So we're already into, like, no BS, man. We're already into August of 2020.
Right.
Like, it's pretty nutty.
Yeah. Well, here's a generic basic question for you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm getting to hang out with my boy.
That's right.
I'm great, man. I'm in Michigan, man.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Outside of that, though, like the band, family life, your son, you're telling me he's 12 years old?
He's going to be 12. He's going to
Yeah.
be 12 on December 26th. Everyone's really, really well, man. Everybody, in Barry's family, Lori and Stella are awesome. Eric and his beautiful wife, Kelly. He's getting ready to, I think they're getting ready to buy a different house, and he's going to start breaking ground in a couple of months on his new studio. Zach, of course, is basically the mayor of Memphis, so he's fine. Bethany and the boys, Ollie and, Avery, they're doing great. And my son is fantastic. And I mean, that's all I can hope for. Everybody's happy and healthy, and that's all I can ask for.
That's all you can ask for, exactly. I see you doing your meet and greet out here, and you talk, and you touch, everyone's life out here. Tell me about the importance of doing that.
It's very important, man, because they gave us the platform, and they gave us a platform to be ourselves. And I mean, and I'm not just saying this because me and you are sitting with each other. I go back to 2003 when we first met each other with an album called Leave a Whisper. And, you have to start somewhere. And we have tried to constantly, because you are the one that brought it to the people, man. And then the people make a decision. They decide whether you stay or whether you go. I have said this many times, and it's because it's the truth. We have one boss. It just happens to be everybody in the audience. And they're just unbelievably important to us. And, it's one of the reasons why our VIPs are a little different than other people. We don't sit behind a table. We don't run people through like cattle. We have 3 different tiers in our meet and greet packages and our options. And, look, man, they're expensive. So if we're going to charge that much money, too, and don't get me wrong, everything that we make, honestly, we put it back into this. But if you're going to charge that kind of money, it needs to be an experience. It needs to be one-on-one. So it takes a little bit longer. But it's so very, very important.
Now, earlier today, I was telling you I was going to ask you about your relationship with WRIF in Detroit. And
yeah.
Do you remember the first time you came to the station? You just mentioned 2003.
Is this with Tommy DeBenedictis, or is this
Yes.
with the legendary Howard Lesnick?
It was with Tommy.
Oh
and
my
so,
God.
and so, if I'm not mistaken, it was you and Brad and Jason. Although it could have been Barry. I can't recall.
Because it would have been. It would have been me and Brad and Jason, because I remember that tour. That was the impromptu. We had the album ready, but it wasn't released yet.
Well, I'd only played Fly from the Inside a few times. You came to the station, and I'll never forget you put your mirrored sunglasses on in the studio and just started ripping through it.
Yeah. I kind of remember that. I was trying to prove a point, man. It was like, because here's the thing that happened with that too. You go back to that. We were in a Buick. We were in a 4-door.
That's right.
Buick car. We were doing 200 miles, 300 miles a day, sometimes upwards into getting to the next town or whatever. We'd have to do like 400 miles. We were sleeping in one hotel room, sometimes in one bed. Like, one of us would take the floor, the other 2 would take, the bed, or if we had a couch, if we were lucky. But the thing about it is we weren't going to wait around for the record to come out. And Atlantic was like, we're going to give you this much money to go and play as many as you can do.
Yeah.
Like as many stations that will have you. You need to play them. And we just didn't say no to anything, man. And it was one of the most defining facts that we were able to. Zach Myers is over here staring at
Stardust. There you go.
Look at him. By the way, he complained that those jeans were not very, very comfortable. It's because he's not wearing any underwear, right? You're not wearing any underwear. Yeah, you don't have underwear on. Ladies and gentlemen, Zach Myers.
There you go.
So you're playing these stations, and you're taking this travel time.
You guys were road dogs for a long time.
Yeah, but the thing that made that great was that's how you do it.
Right.
Like if you were given, and that's one of the reasons that makes Atlantic Records so amazing, because they didn't allow us to sit around and wait for the record to come out, because they're like, what is that going to do? Nobody knows who you are. Get your butt out there and hustle. And and we still do that.
Yeah, you guys do. There's no question about it. What's a great piece of advice a fellow musician's given you?
A fellow musician has given me?
Or even a record company rep or whatever.
Some of the best advice I ever got was actually from, and I wish I could remember his name. This was like right around 2000 actually. Might have even been 1999. But I do recall the advice was, you want to be in a band? Yes. You're a singer? Yes. Do you write your own songs? Well, I mean, do you write your own songs? Well, I mean, do you write your own songs? And I'm like, well, not at the moment. He was like, write your own songs. And the interesting thing about that was, you learn later on that I was never really the guy that was like learning cover songs, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was never really into that. I was always about writing my own thoughts and putting them down and expressing them. But when this guy asked me, I wish I could remember his name. But yeah, his advice was like, no matter what you do, make sure you own your publishing. Make sure that you write your own songs because that's yours. And yes, you can get a publishing deal, but don't ever relinquish your writer share. And I've never done that to this day. And I'm very, very lucky because I'm with Sony ATV and my publishing with the incredible John Platt, who just became the president or the chairman and who is running Sony ATV again, and he's an incredible publisher. But that's some of the best advice I ever got, man. And also the other one was, remember when you get an advance, or remember when you ever make any money, that half of it's going to the government, and then you got to pay your manager, your lawyer, you got to pay your booking agent, and then you got to pay your business manager.
Well, I see
you got to save your money.
Here, so yeah,
got to save your money.
Hey, you're talking about writing your own songs and stuff and really putting yourself out there and whatnot. And sometimes when I interview some of the same guys in too close a period of time, I've already given up all my stuff. Now I got to come up with new stuff. So is that the same way with writing, where in this last record, you've kind of drained yourself of all your personal stuff? Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do. I don't feel like I drained myself from the personal dynamics of everything, because today I've had a lot of wonderful experiences that I will probably write about. You know what I mean? That's the thing. That's one of the reasons why we tour the way we do, because every day is a learning experience, and every day you don't necessarily have to, but you try to find what's special about those moments. Because yesterday's over and tomorrow's going to come with or without us, but what we're doing right now is very, very relevant and very, very valuable. So one of the heaviest things about the new album was that it was the first album that I wrote and recorded completely sober.
I was saying it earlier,
I right before Threat to Survival, the last album, was released, from right around 2014 leading into 2015, I had a slip, man, and I had been on the road during the Amaryllis cycle, and 2 years straight of just, I had lost a ton of weight. I had kind of just become a different person in a good way, but there was so much regimen to it, man, and I was so scheduled. I was a machine, and then all of a sudden what happened was it stopped. And all of a sudden I'm supposed to be domesticated, and I didn't know how to function. And I slipped, I'm human. And the entire touring cycle for Threat to Survival, and we've been friends a long time, and I can be very candid with you about it, but that 19 months of touring, that record, Threat to Survival, I had to come back. With that entire cycle, I was withdrawing from a lot of I had jumped off I found myself in such a dark place, and I'm surprised I made it out. But the three guys that I'm in a band with, they never judged me. They never were like, look, man, we're not cops, dude. We're here to support you, but dude, you got to get it together, man. And it was a struggle. And what's incredible about this, though, is that I was at the lowest point. I couldn't have got lower.
Really, yeah.
And yeah, man, I've never really formally talked about this, but it is true. And the interesting thing is that once again, my brothers, Barry and Zach and Eric, man, they supported me through it all. And my son did too. you know, and, you know, it showed a side of me that I'm not invincible. And what happened inside of that was we were able to create attention. And one thing that Eric has said before, because he was with me every step of the way, because he produced the album, he mixed the album, he engineered the album. I was with him in 2017. We spent like 179 days together.
Yeah.
Everything was written sober. Everything was performed sober. And I used to think that I had to be messed up to write messed up songs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, Eric and quite a few people have told me before, and I guess it really is true, man. They're like, dude, you're way more dangerous when you're sober. So, you know, in my opinion, I wrote probably I wouldn't change one word. I wouldn't change one note on attention. It's exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I'm super proud of it for a lot of different reasons.
Well, I've said this before. It's like I've seen you at your highest, I've seen you at your lowest, and everywhere in between. And it's like, you know, your son being born was a big trigger for you.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's number one at all times. Like, literally, he's at the top at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that
He's watching.
He is and he isn't.
You'd be surprised how much they soak up.
It's funny, too, because I love it when my son does. He doesn't come out as much.
Yeah.
But when he comes out, I'll see him at Monitor World for the very first song, and then I'll look over on the second song, and he's gone. Because he all of this to him, he just doesn't care. And I love that about him, because he's more about basketball.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, 1,000%. And you know what it is, man? He keeps me humble, because no matter how cool I might think I am, which I don't think I'm cool, but, you know, he just sees his dad. You know what I mean? And he loves me, he respects me, and he appreciates me, and I know that, but I'm still just dad.
Well, there's no
It's humbling.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll wrap it up here. But I was watching your meet and greet today, and somebody did bring up the sobriety thing.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I'm like, you know, you taught about this. You know, we're looking at 17, 18 years now.
Yeah.
And it could have been over after 5 or 6.
Dude, you are sitting across from one of the most grateful, humble, and lucky human beings on the face of the earth.
Yeah. Well, vice versa. Trust me when I tell you.
Absolutely. But I don't take it for granted. And I don't take your love and support in this station and this community. I love everything that is Michigan. And, you know, it's events like this, and it's people like you that it's very, very refreshing on a lot of different levels, because, you know, especially here, man, we have that feeling we always have from everybody in this state. And all the cities that surround that, you know, you can always go home, man, and they'll support you. This is like a second home for us. And, you know, we're never going to phone it in, and we're always going to give people our 100%, you know, everything we got. We're always going to give you our best.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the show, and I couldn't appreciate you more. And thanks so much for coming out. Congratulations on the success, and
thank you,
man. And good luck on you got all these tour dates. You're all booked up, man. You're ready to go. So,
hey, man,
right,
thank
Brent,
you for always
really
believing in us, man. Thank you for the
Thank
support.
you.
Thank you for the love.